This week, sports fans will turn their attention to southwest London for the most glamorous event in tennis. Last year saw Andy Murray end Britain's 77-year wait for a men's champion, and although his bid to defend his title will kick off this week, the team at SW19 have been preparing for the tournament for quite some time. But if it hadn't been for a broken pony roller, the Wimbledon Championships wouldn't even exist.
Back in 1872 we were given this thing called a pony roller. So it's a huge garden roller that was pulled by a little horse. The horse wore leather shoes so it didn't leave hoof prints in the grass. And it kept the croquet lawns and later the tennis courts absolutely flat. Now in 1877 the pony roller broke and it was going to cost £10 to fix it, and the club couldn't afford it. So they decided to hold a little tournament for gentlemen in the summer of that year. They sold tickets to the public at 5 pence each, or a shilling in old money, and they raised just over £17. So the pony roller got fixed and they had a bit of a profit. And I thought, that's a good idea, we'll do it again next year.
With the venue's continuous strive for perfection, the championships here at Wimbledon have become one of the most prestigious events in the sporting calendar. It comes as no surprise to learn that the world's oldest tennis tournament is steeped in tradition, from the all-white uniforms, support of the royal family and the infamous queue. But it turns out you don't have to be a sports fanatic to enjoy the fun in SW19.
It doesn't feel like a sporting event, it feels like a garden party at which people happen to be playing tennis. And in fact the whole idea of tennis in an English garden, that is what I was meant to feel. And I think that when people come here, it just feels like a wonderful social event, and they've got this marvellous tennis going on as well. But it's the atmosphere more than anything else which makes Wimbledon unique.
Over the next 2 weeks, around 25,000 bottles of champagne and 200,000 glasses of Pimm's will be served along with Wimbledon's trademark treat, strawberries and cream. Strawberries and tennis, both a sign of summer's arrival, have been associated with the tournament since its debut in 1877. Around 28,000 kilos of strawberries and 7,000 litres of fresh cream are consumed during the 2 weeks of play, with fresh lorry loads arriving daily. But with that said, the most significant element of all is the grass. The lawns across Wimbledon's 19 courts are painstakingly prepared for months in advance, with each blade lovingly monitored by a team of experts.
Towards the championships, they'll start testing the grass to see if it's dense enough, and to do that they count how many blades of grass per square inch. And if sections of the court need replenishing with grass seed, then they will then do it. They also test it for bounce, and that will tell us whether the court needs a lot more water because it's too hard, or whether it needs to be ease off on the water because it's too soft. So that by the time we actually get to the championships, we've now brought the grass down to 8 millimetres, and it's at exactly the right density. We know it's absolutely level, and that the court will provide a certain level of bounce.
When Murray lifted the trophy last summer, he became the first man to win Wimbledon since Fred Perry in 1936. Back then, with wooden rackets, a country on the brink of war, the world was a very different place. After 8 Grand Slam titles, including 3 victories at Wimbledon, Perry had one last wish when he passed away in 1995.
What people don't realise is that Fred Perry is actually interred under the statue. When he died, he was cremated, and when his will was read, it was realised that his last wish was that his ashes should be interred at Wimbledon, and they are under the statue. So when you come in to see the museum or take the tour and you see Fred Perry right in front of you, Fred Perry is actually there as well. We always have a champion present.
The Wimbledon Museum attracts around 100,000 visitors a year outside of the championships, 3/4 of which are visitors from overseas. And thanks to Maria Sharapova, there's a new attraction in town. 2014 marks the 10th anniversary of the Russians' last Wimbledon win, and how else to mark it but with the opening of a pop-up candy store. Sugarpova launched in Wimbledon Village earlier this week and will open its doors for the duration of the tournament. Almost 400 million people in nearly 200 countries around the world watched the tournament on TV last year. Tune in from Monday the 23rd of June to see the 2014 Wimbledon Championships unfold.